Hi there, it's Daryl Stringer here. Now, in last week's email, I asked photographers out there to send me in some questions that they had about real estate photography and architectural photography and everything. And I got a few questions in, and I'm going to today run through some of those questions and answer them for you. And hopefully this can help some of you out there who might have these same questions as well. So first of all, I've got a question asking, what is the difference between a full and a crop sensor when it comes to quality of the images? I know that the lens I choose has a lot to do with it also, but is the camera body worth the money? Okay, when it comes to the quality of the images, full frame cameras are better in a couple of different ways. First of all, low light. They do work well in that, and the reason why that is because the little photo sites, the little photo sensors on them are going to be larger. So to show you what I mean, let's say you've got a small sensor and a large sensor. Now if each one of those has, say, a certain number, let's say just say 9 across, you can see, just draw those up. So you can see there the difference between the small and the large. Each individual photo site is going to be much larger inside the full frame sensor, and so that allows more of the low light that is available to get inside and to be registered and observed without trying to crank up the ISO. This one might need to create a bit more noise and that kind of thing. So for low light, full frame sensors work well. But the other thing they do, and again it comes down to sensor size, is depth of field. Not really an issue though for real estate photography when you're shooting at f8 or f11 or something like that, and you want a very large depth of field. You don't want something really narrow unless you're doing like detailed shots or something like that. The other benefit with full frame sensors is the choice of lenses available. Basically full frame cameras are generally built for pros, and so the lenses there are built for pros as well. However, there are some really good crop sensor lenses available now, so you can look for that and you will find some good lenses there. The thing to watch for though perhaps is just the barrel distortion. Some of that can be a bit of a problem with those some of those crop sensors, so watch for that. Don't just look at the image quality and clarity, you want to look for the barrel distortion, because we want really nice verticals and not really sort of bendy verticals there. So then the question is, are they worth the money? And that's a really big question, and I think both sides there have some good points. First of all, some say they are worth the money because every improvement in quality is helpful, and that's certainly true. I certainly noticed that when I upgraded many years ago from a 20D Canon up to the Canon 5D, that image quality was definitely there when I made that switch. The thing is though, is this extra quality needed when you're creating images that are generally going to be used or seen on a computer monitor at maybe 950 pixels across? It probably isn't. So in that respect, for real estate photography, that extra image quality is not a big factor. It does come into play though if you want to step up and start shooting for architects and hotels and that higher level work. That's definitely where you'll be needing that extra quality gear. But then the other thing is that when you go on a shoot, the positioning of you as the photographer can be impacted by the camera gear that you have with you. You know, you might go into homes and people who are a little bit knowledgeable about some of that gear will pick up on the fact that you're using a lower quality camera or you're using a higher quality full frame camera with you know, some really expensive gear, and that positioning aspect is important. It's worth considering about, because that can have an influence upon the jobs that you get and the clientele that you're working with. Another question, I've got a couple of variety of these, basically, what is the way that I can build a good portfolio? You know, how do I get started in real estate photography? And obviously you need a good portfolio to show what you're doing. What you don't want to do though is to be offering free portfolio building shoots to potential clients. It's just not a good positioning thing. You can imagine if you keep going back to these clients and you're saying, hey, I want to do some free shots because I'm trying to build my portfolio. When you go back to them then a month later and say, right, I'm now ready to start shooting full time and I'm going to be charging you $200 now to do those shoots that I was doing for free, there can be a bit of a disconnect there, and it can be difficult then to convince them that you're now worth, $200 to try to get those photo shoots in and to start working with those real estate agent clients. So one thing you can do is perhaps write letters to individual homeowners instead, bypassing agents, just general homeowners who aren't necessarily looking to sell. Just contact a whole lot of them, send letters to them, give some contact details as well so that they can verify who you are, because they're letting you into their home, so they need to be able to trust you. Maybe if you can get some testimonials or something to drop in there as well to show them that other people have found their experience with you to be very positive, that can go well. So just contact lots and lots of people that way. Someone else asked, how do I advertise myself based on value so that I can charge more and shoot less than the competition? First of all, real estate pricing can be really tight. Agents can be reluctant to spend too much unless you show them that they're going to benefit from hiring you. So one of the things you can do is go and have a look at an email that I sent out, or have a look at a blog post that I put up back in March called How to Charge Higher Prices as a Real Estate Photographer. And there I run through the importance of positioning and marketing and things like that to your ability to charge those higher prices. Okay, another question was, I'm interested in increasing my percentage of the commercial higher paying clients. Someone else asked, how do I attract a higher class of clientele? Two things I think there: you need to be visible online and you need to be visible offline. So you want to create a website that is easily found when someone goes searching for you, not just when they're searching for a real estate photographer, but when they're searching for any number of terms within the commercial space. So you want to have a site that is easily found, because you don't know what businesses are going to be searching for you. And there are a lot of businesses out there looking for people who can shoot buildings and who can shoot building products and those kinds of things. The second thing you want to do though is make contact with businesses that you think would be a good fit for your business, and then you want to stay in contact with them. Now, in my coaching program, I've built the marketing tools that you can use to make this really easy. But basically what you want to do is identify your ideal prospects in your market, get in touch with them, and then stay in touch with them over and over again, because you don't know when they're going to be ready for a photographer. It may not be this week, it might be next year, but if you start the process now, you can position yourself really well for when they're ready for next year for that really big photo shoot that they need you for. Okay, another photographer asked, what other products or services other than standard real estate photos sell well to agents? Okay, there's a lot of things you can do. You don't just need to be doing real estate photography. Floor plans work really well in some markets. I know in some places they're not very common yet. In some other areas they're almost essential. They go up with every listing. Video tours go well, and these are only going to get bigger and bigger. I can see video becoming really, really big. I saw a comment recently from the head of operations in Europe for Facebook, and they said that in 5 years Facebook will almost be entirely video. So this is something that's going to really grow, and it's something that you want to get in now rather than later, so that you've developed options and services that can provide for marketing within video. Virtual tours and 3D tours can work well. Things like Matterport you might have heard of. In some markets this is going really well. In other markets though, agents are reluctant to take it on because they say it gives too much information to buyers. So you're just going to have to check your market on that. Drone photography and elevated photography is obviously going to get bigger and bigger, especially now with the law changes coming up in late August. Drone laws change in the USA. In late September, the drone laws change here in Australia. So that's going to open up to a lot of competition as well. And a lot of that competition though won't know how to do interior photography the way that you can do interior photography. So that way you might have a real advantage over some of those other photographers that think it's enough just to buy a drone and be able to offer those services. Other things you can do include property styling and staging, website development, group portraits and headshots for agents, flyer design and printing is another one that can work really well. So there's a lot of different things that you can do for agents beyond just photography. How do I have a faster workflow during a shoot and in post? And another photographer asked, what's the best shooting technique to reduce the editing and turnaround time when I'm out there? Well, we actually went really detailed on this in last week's group coaching call that I run. I can't go into the specifics on what I do there, but basically you want a consistent technique that's going to work for you over and over again, no matter what situation you're in. It's probably going to involve multiple flashes and probably multiple exposures so that you can work and create a good shot no matter what. You're not reliant on the environment. You control the environment with your lighting, and so that way you know exactly what's going to happen every time. I'll just show you what I mean by that. Let's just get rid of this drawing up here. So when I'm talking about multiple exposures in a room, let's say here's the room that we have. You might take a shot that's lighting up this part. Okay, so you've got that part of the room lit with your first one. Then you might take another shot that's over this side of the room. Okay, and so then that part of the room is lit up. So you then need to make sure though that they piece together really well. So you want this overlap through here. Okay, if you miss that, so if that doesn't overlap, I'll just draw a line down here. That's where it becomes really difficult because you're going to find that really hard to piece together back in Photoshop or something. So when you are creating multiple exposures and blending them together, make sure that you've got this good overlap. It's going to make your life a whole lot easier. All right, next up. Photoshop layers. Someone asked, how do I use Photoshop layers better? I'm easily flummoxed. Someone else asked, I'd like to know more about processing such as blending and masking in Photoshop. Photoshop layers are really easy. It's basically, imagine that each layer is like a stack of photographic prints, one on top of each other. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, just get rid of here. So imagine that we've got a stack of layers. So you got your 4 layers here. If you then start to mask in one part, so let's say this part here, and you're looking down on top, you're going to see this layer down underneath now. Okay, so now you're going to see this part of that layer when you're looking down on top. Then if we remove that part and that part, okay, now you're going to see this part. When we're looking down on it from up above, you're going to see here, here, and then this top layer, you're going to see that part. So it's all about just removing the images so that as you look down on it up above, you're masking out by painting in black these sections here, like that, so that way it all just flattens down again, and you stack these up like so you got part 1, part 2, part 3 to blend together in Photoshop, and that's how layers masks work. All right, one more question. Okay, what photography techniques will help me stand out above other real estate photographers? Now, sometimes that's really easy. Sometimes using flashes to create really nicely lit images that are well composed, you've got accurate color, you've got straight verticals. In some markets, that's enough. You're going to stand out really well against the other competition just doing something like that. I had a look at the other photographers in this photographer's particular area, and the quality is really quite good. It's a big city, and there's some really good photographers in that area. So in that market, trying to find a photography technique that will make you stand out well enough within the real estate photography field is going to be tricky. You might be able to create something that appeals really well to a small number of agents, but that leaves you really vulnerable. You want to appeal to a broad base so that if some agents should choose to leave you or go and do something different, you're not left with no clients after that. So once you reach a certain quality, and it is important that you can do a certain quality of photography, you need to proceed further than just aiming at photography. You need to switch your focus from how can my photography be better to how can my service and my marketing be better. And when you switch to that focus, the jobs will come in because that's you're communicating a message that is very clear and obvious. You're talking about your benefits and you're clearly showing your potential clients where you stand out. Relying on them just to see the difference from photography may not be enough in some markets, so you need to make it really clear by communicating that within your marketing and with your positioning in the market. So that's it. I hope that was really helpful for you. This has been Daryl Stringer. I'll see you again next time. Bye for now.